today is not going to be a typical webinar. It's going to really be a studio tour. So instead of teaching you step-by-step AI, I'm really just going to show you how I run my business. So the real things that I'm doing, I want you to get comfortable because you are about to see behind the curtain. All right, so I have an image for you, which is this beautiful, mind-blowing moment. And I want you to do two quick things for me. One is to have a place where you might jot some notes down because I have a feeling that your mind is going to be blown by the time that we're finished. These are my lovely possibility glasses to see all of the amazing things that you might discover. And today might feel a little bit uncomfortable because there are going to be a lot of things that I'm showing you. So this lesson today is really about being able to see what's possible, not necessarily the step by step of how to get there. So the goal is really to learn how to see the exciting things that are going to be there. It's not your job to think, oh, that's nice for her, but I really want you to look at this. What might this look like in your business? Okay. All right. So just a little bit about me, because I know there are quite a few people who are new to my world and a little bit about me. So I use this expert as kind of a joke because honestly, none of us are experts. AI is so new that if we know anything, we're an expert, okay? But what I bring to the table is that I have been in education for over 25 years I honestly taught third and fourth grade students. I was a principal, but I've always loved technology. And what I've noticed in being in this role is that the most important thing now shifting over to the business world is that we have systems. And those systems are what are going to make us feel successful. So I use this image because it feels like, okay, we have all these hats in our business. We're marketer, bookkeeper, assistant, content writer, tech support, customer service, and then the actual business that you're trying to run. And then on top of it, you're like, okay, I'm supposed to be using AI, but how do I do that? Because there are so many pieces and things to learn. And so what I want to share with you is that I am doing all of this myself. I'm a solopreneur, and these are just imaginary. I don't really have that many employees, but what I'm going to show you today is how we can use AI to be able to do many of the tasks. And when we have a system in place, it makes it that much easier. So that's what we're really going to be talking about today is systems. Okay. So some of the things that I see people struggling with is what is automation? How does that look in my business? The time factor, knowing that I want to grow my business, but also I'm like, okay, how do I do that? Marketing, getting yourself visible, and just the tech and the overwhelm in general. That's a lot. I know a lot of people feel like everything's duct taped together and it's not talking to the other thing. So what my goal is for you today, I have a couple of things that I want to cover is why the past AI attempts have failed. I'm going to give you a three-part framework to show you really how you can make this work for your business. And then I have this little kind of graphic that I'll share with you that shows like the order of operations and how that's going to help make the AI actually sticky. And then most importantly is a system that sounds like you, because as we know, it's flooding all of our news feeds about Claude is having watermarks on the AI content and all of this. But I believe that the AI really helps to amplify our voice. It's okay that we're using AI if we have a good message to share. And I think that we all do. So this is for you because you're here. So we don't need to go deeply into this, but you know that there's something that can be better for you. You're just not quite sure how to get there. And so when we think about it's this bottleneck idea, like your morning starts off with your inbox, there's things coming into you, there's client work, you know that you want to do sharing your own work. And then this loop that keeps happening because you're explaining yourself over and over. So if any of this sounds familiar, know that it's okay. There's nothing broken, but you're just missing a little piece in the setup. And I'm going to show you how we can implement that. So what happens after you use a system like this is that AI is going to remember your contacts, your voice, your clients, your offers, trained once and known forever. A business that's going to run on a schedule, which means the work happens not on a calendar, but it's set in there and it's running not necessarily with you remembering to make it run. So your mornings can start with a briefing and you're doing the CEO work that you want for your business. And I think that's going to be super powerful. Now, one person that I'd like to recognize is this beautiful person here, Molly Mahoney. Many of you have worked with her or know her, and she's really my inspiration. She is a marketing strategist, AI marketing strategist, and I'm in a group of hers called Multiply, and it's just amazing to be a part of her universe because every week I'm going out and learning new amazing things in the world of AI. However, most business owners don't have time to do that because you're running a full-time business. So that's where I can come in and really help you with all of my knowledge. And if you don't follow Molly, I would suggest it because she also shares some really great, amazing tips. So the thing I want you to remember is that you're already showing up. You're not behind. There's so much to learn. And every little bit that we share and grow in this space is so important. So I just want you to know we have time now to clean up our systems and really make this work for us. And what's going to change is you're going to be able to grow your business with less effort and get time back. And those are the things that will really help. Now, if you're ready to master AI and scale forward, get ready because we're going to dive into the tour. And I also have something that's brand new for you at the end. So stay with me through this whole hour. I promise I'm going to make it worthwhile. You have an amazing business, but it feels like you're constantly playing catch up. You know there's a way to streamline sales and marketing, but not sure what actually works. You've been using AI, but it feels overwhelming and it keeps changing. Because it does every single day, right? I want to talk a little bit about my tech stack, okay? And you may or may not have heard of some of these, but these are the pieces that I use in my business. Now, you don't have to use all of these, but these are the things that I have found to work very well. I start with Notion, and Notion is like the headquarters of all of my, I use air quotes, stuff. And I have it organized in 4 main categories. One is my weekly planning. And how I do my content is I come up with a theme for the week. And so I have a template in my weekly planning where it replicates itself. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really know how to use Notion that well, but Claude helps me to do all of this. So you don't have to be an expert at any of these things. If you don't know, all you have to do is talk to Claude like it is your best friend and say, explain this for me and do this for me, because you'll notice Claude's on there. And what's powerful is there are things called connectors in Claude. So you can connect the systems and the things that you do, like if you use Gmail or Google Drive or Calendar or Slack, you can connect those inside of Claude. And so then they can basically talk to each other. Now, you guys, this has changed so much just in the short amount of time that I've been in this space that it's really mind-blowing to think how quickly it has all evolved, right? The second thing I do with my Notion account is I have an idea bank. That's where I store anything that I come across, ideas that I want to remember, concepts that I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. I'll come back to that. I keep my to-do list there, and that has ongoing tasks or projects. And then I have my content command center, and I'll take you on a tour of this later because this is where it gets really powerful, because all I have to do is have the tasks working and they send that content right over to the command center so I can get it. Slack is one that I just started using. Now, I've used it before in business, but I have a whole Slack team, and I know it's hard to see there, but each of these channels has something being sent to Slack. So, for example, when I wake up in the morning, I have a morning briefing that's sent to me by my AI employee that's, hey, here's your day. Here's what's coming up. These are the things you need to remember. These are some contacts you want to reach out. So, I'm going to show you how that looks. I use ChatGPT, mine mostly for images and shorter conversations. Claude is doing the heavy lifting in my business. And then Go High Level is what I use basically to manage all of the things. So it's my CRM. It has all my contacts. It has an email system within it. It has my pages that I use to create for landing pages. It has my website there. Really anything that I need for my business is there. I know many of you on this call already have a high level account. If you don't, please know that I can help you to set that up. That's something else that I do. You're going to be like, I'm tired of hearing all the things that you do, Angie, but I feel like I'm a little bit of a jack of all trades, so I can help with all of these parts. Google Drive is something that I've always in my business, but most recently I've been able to connect it from my desktop so that what happens is Claude is talking to the desktop, which is talking to the cloud. So it's all synced and my drive is being organized in this really cool fashion. And that's what I'm going to show you today. Then the next piece is Obsidian. And this is something that I've just recently been playing with. And basically that sits on top of the whole system. And it allows you to look at the different files in a different way and be able to connect all of the things. So pretty much that's my tech stack. If any of those pieces sound completely foreign, no worries. I'm going to show you how they work together in just a minute here. So here is the framework. How does this actually work? The first part is the brain. Okay. And this is the AI that's going to get trained on your business so that it never forgets you. And there's 5 files that we're going to use. And I'll go a little bit deeper into these in a moment, but you're going to really get clear on your business. And quite honestly, all of this happens. We don't have to even touch the AI yet to be able to do this. It's going to be our thinking, how we're designing things. And if you're just starting out, like I know some of you are, don't worry. We'll have Claude help us to create all of this information about our business. Okay. The second piece is the dream team. And that's where I assigned roles. Now, if you're saying, okay, Angie, I don't want those cute little cartoon things, that is not me, you don't have to do that. But think about roles in the way of things that you do repeatedly in your business. If you write a blog, if any of you send a newsletter, if any of you create content, if you do research, any of those things that you have a task that you repeat, basically that person can be a teammate of yours. Okay. And in Claude, if you have not used this, it's called a skill. So we're going to design skills that basically take our brain and what we do and we repeat over and over into a process. Now, again, if you're new to business, you don't have any of this yet, don't worry. You can take one little piece and add it in over time. You don't have to come up with the whole dream team at once, but it's more of what am I doing right now that I need support with? And you pick one role. Okay. And then the third part is the work. And this is where it becomes super powerful. So like some of you might have used like custom GPTs and you've explored that. This is where Claude becomes really powerful. So we are going to use what's called Cohort, and we're going to assign Claude to be able to take the jobs that we have with our roles and then tell it what to do and actually go out and do it without us having to do anything. So like, for example, I wake up and I have my content sent to my teammates in Slack, and then the actual stuff is in Notion. It's actually crazy. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what the brain is going to do for us. So this is step one. So what we will do is have each of these 5 documents that actually teach the AI who you are. So your identity and positioning, your brand voice, your ideal client, your programs and offers, and your market competitors. Okay, 5 files that we're going to use to basically have Claude trained on our brain. Now, what's different about this than approaches that we might have seen before is that, for example, just a couple months ago, I was using what was called projects in Claude. It was a folder, and I dropped these little documents into the folder. Okay. But if any of you know me, you know I like to change my mind all the time. And so what was happening is those files would be outdated and they were in a format called .md. And I'm like, I can't change this. It's not working. And so now what has happened with this new system is that it's dynamic and it is updating on the regular because of the way that I'm using Claude, the setup that I'm going to show you. Okay. So basically, after I have a little brainstorming with session, I say update my business OS system, and it goes in, it navigates those files, and it puts updates in it. Another perfect example is when I'm working with clients. I have a client folder. And after I have a meeting, I have the AI goes in and updates the folder with all the things that we talked about. It's actually mind-blowing. So here's how this looks. So this is your dynamic business operating system, okay? So we have one folder in our drive. Now, obviously we have multiple folders, but we're going to have Claude only look at this business OS folder, okay? So Claude reads the content, goes over here. It's sending the ideas over to Obsidian. You can also send things to Obsidian that goes back to Claude, and it's this beautiful loop that just keeps everything in sync. So all of your files are current, your ideas are current, and it helps you to make better decisions and work better because everything is in a logical place, okay? All right, that's step one. Step 2 of this build, as I told you, was coming up with my dream team. Now, again, like I said, if you don't want to create cartoons or characters, no worries. You just call it a blog orchestrator or blog writer or whatever. I did this because I like it and I think it's fun. And as some of the more fun we have, the more money we make. So this is my dream team. Every little character on here has a name, a job description, and something that I want to show you. And this is where it's going to get fun. And I'm going to introduce you to them in just a moment. And then the third part of this system is what comes in with scheduled tasks in Cowork and automated workflows. Now, if this chart looks crazy logo to you, it is. But I want to tell you, again, we start with one thing that we want to make better in our business. Just one. We do it for a little while and then we run it. So thinking about Claude, and I'm going to show you where this is, when you create a skill, you use the skill, use it and make sure it works the way you want. Once it's working well, then we can automate it and say, I want you to run it at this time. Okay. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I set this up, how first I used my human brain to think about what I actually do in my business. And then I created the skills, which are the directions that Claude uses to perform the repeatable tasks. All right. So this is my first hire, and this was my chief of staff. And yes, this one is a robot. So I call her Biz Bestie because I like for everyone to be my bestie. And what she does first in the morning is she goes and reads my calendar, my inbox, and then looks ahead to the day and schedules 2 power blocks. Now, I'll be honest, sometimes I ignore what she puts on my calendar, but that's okay. She schedules half an hour to remind me to go make connections with humans, and then another half an hour to post my content. And that's just to make sure I've covered my bases because I know those are the 2 things that are going to grow my business. Then what else she does is offers a couple of maybe some stale things that have been maybe leads that I haven't been looking at, and gives me like a little inspirational quote and says, "Good morning, bestie. I hope you have a great day," and just kind of start things off on a positive note. The second thing she does is this weekly content anchor. And I'm going to show you this, and it's actually so stinking cool. So, what happens is she will, I have a template, okay? And in the template, and again, I just told Claude, help me to make this template. Here's what I want it to have. And then she goes in and we have a brainstorming session, and I'm going to show you how this works. And she's going to create a new template for me. And then all of the other characters come and look at this template to get ideas. Now, if your brain is hurting yet, type the word brain in the chat, because I'm sure some of you are like, la, 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 girl, what are you talking about? This is crazy. But remember, today I'm showing you the possibilities of what you can create with this system. It's simply amazing. Okay, Violet, what she does is she goes back. Remember, I said that template. She goes back and looks at the week, and she's like, okay, here's what Angie wants to focus on for the week. I'm going to give her some ideas for scripts that she could use. Now, do I record all of these? No, I do not. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest. But the ideas are there because I find, I don't know about you, but when I don't have a starter or an idea, I'm just not going to do it because my brain has too much in it. So that's called overwhelm, right? So then I don't do it. So this one's fun because it gives me a couple of those scripts. And again, all it is a skill that says, set it up like this. Okay, Charlie's fun. I call her my content queen. And what she does is, again, you're going to get tired of me saying this, but she goes and looks at that weekly template and says, hey, what's the focus for the week? Now I'm going to create some funny little statements, and I'm going to give Angie some ideas of what she might put on the quote cards. Now, for me personally, I'm going in and taking those and I'm putting them in Chat GPT and having it create some images for me because I think that's fun. CME, she's my Substack strategist. I have her, again, take that same topic, and she's programmed on Substack. And so she writes 5 notes, an article, and then she's referring to that topic again. So it's allowing me to be consistent because, again, those of you that know me know that I like to hop around. That is my ADHD, and I like the new shiny objects. But this helps me to be consistent with my content. Now, Rex, she is my lead activation specialist. And I just wanted to show you so you had an idea of what, when I say scheduled task, what that actually looks like. So, what she's doing is going into my Go High Level account every day. And she's telling me, hey, this is what came in yesterday. These are some of the people who signed up for a workshop, or these are people who maybe haven't paid yet. She's checking the pipeline. So always giving me information about what's happening in my CRM because I can connect high level to Claude. Lola is a launch manager. So if ever I'm going to launch something, she's going to help me build out the landing page copy, the email sequence, the social content, and the post-launch follow-up. So now what used to take a huge amount of time, she just basically can spit out after she knows my concept. This one I use when I'm doing like a brainstorming session. So maybe I'm having some ideas, I'm shooting it out. Then I call in Lola and I say, run your skill, and she creates all of those things for me. All right. Stella helps to manage my school community. Now, what she does is actually just one job. And what I do is I record all of my meetings. Now, you might think about this. You don't have to have a school community, but you can think about conversations that you have. So she's programmed to take the conversation. And as soon as I dump the transcript in there, she gives me a beautiful recap or summary of that so that I can post it into my school group. Nellie is my newsletter specialist. She tries to look at all the things that I've been talking about through the week and pulls out one concept that I want to share with others. And it's so nice because I've trained her to use the HTML format so that she can write emails super nice. This is Roxy, the researcher. And what she does, she runs once a week. She scans my inbox, my newsletters, YouTube trends, and what my competitors are launching, and just gives me that feedback. And that helps me when I'm doing my brainstorming session. And then Cece, she's my coach manager. I actually love her the best. And that's because what she does is anytime I have a conversation or a Zoom call with a potential client, I record that. Okay. And then I feed it in there to her, and she gives me this beautiful report that comes out so nice. And I think Virginia, you even made one of these for your people. And what she does is she takes my brand and literally, so like yesterday, for example, I took my cell phone with me. I didn't even have a computer. I just recorded a voice memo with a potential client. I went back, I gave her some handwritten notes of things that I was like, oh, I want to remember that. Gave her this transcript, and you guys, it made like a 15-page PDF for these clients that I was like, yeah, this is actually all the things that I could offer for them. And now I can go back to them and have this nice conversation to be like, these are the ways that I can help you. Now, I do have some other teammates, but you get the idea. It's creating the things you do in your business, creating a skill for them, and then either running them on an automatic task or calling them in. So I'm going to show you. Now we're going to see it in action, okay? And hopefully this works. Do you guys see a blank screen right now? Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to pull in Claude. And does everybody see Claude? Okay, so this is Claude for the desktop. And I know we have all kinds of different users here, so I just want to make sure everybody understands. There's Claude that is on your browser, and then there's also a download that is it's on your desktop. And the reason that I know the difference is because I colored mine, I changed the color so it's black when it's on the desktop. Okay. And I use it on the desktop because, again, my system is connected to my folder on Drive so that it's always going and connecting there. Now, you don't have this set up yet, so just know that this is, again, I'm showing you the potential, right? So I'm going to start a new chat, and you'll notice that in my chat, I'm in my Drive and I'm in my business coaching folder. So it's going to pull the right resources. And typically what happens is on Wednesday, I had a Slack message, but I wanted to save this to show you how it runs. So I'm going to call in Biz Bestie, and I'm going to say, let's run the Wednesday brainstorming session. And just so you know, if you're like, what in the world are you using? That is Speakly. It's a great tool. Some of you might use Whisperflow, but it allows you to just basically talk with the AI. So here's what it says. I pulled Roxy's intelligence log. So Roxy ran on Wednesday morning at 8:30. It's getting the Notion pages and the planning template set up. And then its goal is to ask me a couple of questions. So just to get me thinking, what is it that you want to focus on for the next week? What do you think is important? And so I'll show you while that's getting set up over in Notion. And again, if you're like, I don't want to use Notion, you don't have to. These are just ideas to get your brain thinking about some different things. So in my weekly planning topic, here's the template. And then each week it's building basically a new template there. So this is like the master document, right? And it has, this is what this week's topic was: build your newsletter AI dream employee. Here's the market intelligence that it pulled. And these are the questions that it asked, like what came up the most this week in your DMs, comments, or coaching calls? What's the through line? What's an offer or launch or promotion that's coming up in the next couple of weeks? And I'm the one who made these questions. So I was like, what will get me thinking for the next week about what I want to talk about? And then this is it. So it was like creating a workflow. Okay. So then what happens is all of the team members are referring to that kind of like main concept. Okay. And then on my headquarters, remember I told you I had this content command center? Then all of the pieces of content are getting pushed over here so that I can pull it up. So this one was my video script. Did I record this video? No, I did not. But it's there when I'm ready to, right? And then when we talk about the school posts, like those are here, ideas for my school group, my Substack articles. And then once I post them, I can just delete them. So that's like my content system and how I'm using that. Okay, so I have been playing with this now for several weeks, and I've had a couple of people who are like, I want to know how to make this work together and see how you're building this out. And so the method is really create a simple, repeatable process that you can use over and over. You just need the right pieces to make them talk to each other and work together. And what I want to share with you, if anyone is interested, I'm launching a founding member cohort. This is a little different than anything I've done before, but it's going to be 8 weeks with a small group, and you will actually build this entire system for you for your business. Okay, so it's going to be 1 hour a week. It'll be on Tuesdays from 1, I said, to 2:30 because probably we'll go a little bit later each time. They'll be recorded. So if you want to join with Zoom, and then if you're unable to go during that time, everything will be recorded. Okay. And the goal is to build a system like this for you and your business. So here is what we're actually going to do in each of the 8 weeks. Okay. So the first week is the building your brain week. And we'll be creating those files that I talked about. And then the second week is we're going to set the system up, which is where we have the Google Drive connecting on the desktop to Claude. and then we will layer all of that together. Week 3 is like helping you to create a productivity employee. Week 4 is going to be building a marketing employee. So looking at your content, how that looks. Week 5 is building a finance employee. So something that helps you to track your, if you use QuickBooks, if you use Stripe, PayPal, whatever that is, that's going to be the finance employee. And then we're going to do an operations employee, which is going to just make sure that all of the systems are in place, working the way you want. And then week 7 is when we're going to start creating scheduled tasks. And you might be wondering, why don't we automate them all at the same time? What I found, and this is through my own error, is I created all these employees, but I didn't set them up so that they would talk to each other and they weren't working and functioning the right way. So it's really better, I have found, to build the skills, test them and run them. And then when you like the way you're working, then we'll automate them. And then the last piece is creating a dashboard so that all the systems will run together. Okay. So the most that I'm going to have in this group is 30, and I want to honor the size because I think that's important. If it gets much larger than that, I don't think we'll be as effective. I just wanted to give you a heads up. And then these are some of the bonuses that I'm going to throw in for this first cohort. So the first one is you'll have a chat in WhatsApp. So if you want to talk and ask questions, I'll be able to get your messages instantly and be able to respond to them. The second bonus, I'm going to give you my skills library, which is growing and ever changing. So you'll have all of the skills that I've created and then be able to change them for you and your needs. The third bonus is I'm going to allow you to join our Claude Camp for Professionals for the whole year. It's a $7 a month plan, but you'll get that included as a part of this. If anyone wants to use Go High Level and try it out, I'll include a 2-month trial and you can get in there, test it out, see if that's a good plan for you. And then the last bonus is that you'll obviously have all the 8 sessions. They'll have step-by-step instructions and the replays ready to go for you. And then if anyone's interested for one-on-one people, I'm doing this. It's $2,000 and we build out the whole system. I work one-on-one with you, create everything with all of the details. And then for the cohort model that I'm doing, and it starts in 3 days because again, I like to be last minute. So if you want to join, we're going to kick it off next Tuesday, and the price is $297 for that cohort, which is insanely cheap. All right, I love it. We are definitely going to be building the plan as we fly it. Each module will come out that week because I don't want to overwhelm anyone, and we're really going to dive deep on that particular part so that you have a good understanding and a solid knowledge base. And if anything else, I just hope this offered you some excitement about what you can do with AI because it really is mind-blowing.